this document is very important. So this is basically a non-functional requirement documentation. The non-functional requirement documentation has been created at the very beginning of a product itself, like at the planning phase itself. Whenever you are capturing your functional requirements, at the same moment, you would be putting some time frame to capture non-functional requirements also, because the kind of matrices you will be getting from the non-functional requirement, that also needs some estimations and planning. So it is not like only you capture functional requirements, you started with it, then you capture non-functional requirements, because achieving those matrices of non-functional requirements may take time, and you have to take all of those things also in consideration while doing the development. That's why there is a bit more time addition which is being done on the functional requirement whenever, or functional development whenever they are being done. So that's why both functional and non-functional requirement is being gathered and captured at the very beginning of a product. It is not just a BA job to capture all the non-functional requirements. Yes, the BA initiates all the non-functional requirement discussions with the customer, but basically it has been followed, or it has been accompanied by the technical leads and the leadership team you have. Okay, because every non-functional requirement is basically being performed differently. Example. So what I did is, this is an extensive document that has been created of a product. Okay. So you might find a lot of details over here, which has been very high level or very in depth about. Okay, you can ignore that. This is to give you an understanding how you would be creating the non-functional requirement document whenever you would be working in a product. Okay, so we have created a table which has firstly the type of non-functional requirement, then any subcategory if you wanted to divide, for non-functional requirement, then the description, anything to suffice or they give more understanding what that subcategory basically means. If you are already been, if you are working on a revamping of a product, rebuilding any product or revamping of a product of which is already existing in the market, then always capture the existing KPIs also, because that will always help you in, comparing that how that application was behaving earlier and how your application has behaved now, will be behaving now. Otherwise, your customer will always be saying that, their application was behaving much better earlier. It is not behaving good right now. So whenever you have those matrices, like, earlier your page was taking 2 seconds. Now we have reduced it to 1 second. That is a great improvement we have done. We have just reduced the performance or time by 50%. So that is a great improvement we have shown in the performance metrics. So if you are working in any revamp project, always capture those existing APIs that will help you in defining the realistic and better KPIs, better threshold for the new product you are working upon. Okay, and any comments? So example, the first metrics, which is the performance. So in performance, what we have wanted to capture is the page load time. How much time it has been taken for a page to get loaded up. The backend. So whatever the product I was working upon, this product for which the document has been created, that has two interfaces. One is backend interface, another is front-end interface. So basically this page load time is for backend. Then this page load time is for front-end. In backend, it should get loaded up in 500 milliseconds to 1 second. In front end, it would load it up to average 2 to 3 seconds. Okay, so it completely depends upon your customers, your metrics you wanted to capture. Now, in the comments, what we have mentioned is that the kind of tools which will be used to capture these matrices or to track these matrices, like, for performances, for any page performances, you cannot go on each page and just wait for that page to get loaded up and track that milliseconds or seconds on your phone or your laptop. Basically, there are a lot of tools available in the market nowadays, which helps you in defining or identifying that amount of time that page would be taking up. So here, with your help of your development team, if your client is already using any tool or suggest you a tool, we would like to capture the data in New Relic. So you would be mentioning that. If not, if there is no specific interest of your customer that they have their own preferences of tools, then probably from your internal team considerations, you would be writing the tools, okay, which tool which we can use it. Web page test and Google page speed test, these both are the free tools which have been available, okay, which will help you in knowing the page time. So you can always go ahead in the Google, type the web page test or Google page speed, okay. there is a website which opens up, put a URL, any website URL, and see how much, and press enter. You will see that how much time that page or that website is being page is taking up to get loaded up. So that is a metrics to capture. Page load time. So here these are the details which your team has been added. There are various matrices which could help, which could impact this, but these are the tools which we will be using up. Okay. So that is the collective activity which has been done using a business analyst and the leadership team, which involves your technical leads, technical architects, scrum master, product managers. Everyone shares their inputs to have this document as good as possible. Okay. The another thing which has been tracked over here, or which has been captured over here, is content time to publish. Basically, now we have, suppose in our example, in case of us, like we have restaurants. So now how much amount of time is it taken for an admins? Like admins add only restaurants. Okay, admins are the one who has the permission to add restaurants. Now how much time will it take that once a restaurant has been published in the backend, it starts showcasing in the front end. Okay, so basically it says that less than 10 seconds. So this is, and it has also been mentioned that if will it be defined or will it be tested using any application tool or manually. So like this is a matrix which has been tested manually. So you have mentioned over here. So that more information you would be mentioning in the non-functional requirement documentation, more better. You would be having hold on, and you would be having the strong stance whenever these things are being delivered, and any discussions happens later on these conversations. The another metrics which has been captured is user concurrency. We are testing the concurrent user load. How much your system is able to bear the load of a user. Suppose your customer say that at a time my at least 1,000 users, or basically 1,000 users would be interacting to my system. So we would be doing load testing that would help in testing that, okay, at 1,000 times if people are interacting with my system, my application doesn't get crashed up. Okay, it doesn't start breaking up. So that is basically user concurrency test which you do. You can always take this document as a reference document, and ask these questions from your client whenever you will be working in a product. Availability and scalability. Your product should be available and scalable. Okay, logs, that was it was related to the backend logs and any project logs. You can ignore it. Localization. Basically, English is for the backend. You will always be having the interface in English. There is no RTL or anything which has been related. Like RTL is right to left. Okay, lot of languages. English is basically left to R, L to R. Now there are a lot of languages which are being R12, like O2. I think O2 is R12. So there are a lot of languages which are
Yeah,
R12.
Urdu is R2.
O2 is R12. So you have to capture this, that is there any R12 language which is being supported or not. Okay. And accessibility. Now for accessibility, there are a lot of tools which are being available, or there are standardization technique for which you need to make sure your accessibility is been reaching to those standards. It is 80%. Your organization will always be having any reference NFR documentation, but if not, then always keep this documentation handy, because that will help you out in standing out also in your organizations whenever you would be talking about those matrices with your team. Okay, responsive and breakpoints. We have in the responsive layout, we have basically different themes, different sizes of our screens. Extra small, medium, large. These are the different pixels. So try to capture the requirement from the customer, that which are the matrices of the they wanted to capture. Like extra small and small are basically from small to extra strong. These nowadays all the devices, mobile devices, they have huge size screen size. Okay, so in that case, probably extra small to small, we will be having very less or basically no user who will be using those devices. So then probably your customer can say that, okay, our target audience is majorly medium to large, medium to extra large, because nowadays people usually have those medium screen, that is 1025 pixel. Okay. So that is the responsive breakpoints which you have captured, because whenever you will be doing your application testing, your QA would always be considering those breakpoints that, okay, when you are in that breakpoint, whenever you are using a device which follows that responsive layout, breakpoints, your application should behave properly. Compatibility, as I talked about, which browser, which device it is being compatible with. Now there are a lot of devices in the market, and you cannot make sure that and you cannot validate on each and every device which has been available in the market. Okay, for each brand nowadays there are hundreds of devices which are available. So what you do is you basically ask your customer to share 2 to 3 maximum, 2 to 3 devices which are most widely used by your customers. So if I talk about some US clients or some clients outside India, so their maximum users are iPhone users. So they will say ki the latest 3 versions of iPhone is basically they would be having the maximum their users would be using there. So that is their priority applications or devices to test that feature. Okay, so it's like if they say iPhone 14, they wanted to focus more on iPhone 14, iPhone 12, iPhone 11. That these are the iPhone devices they wanted to focus more on. Now, if we test the application in iPhone 6 and certain something broke up, okay, or something is not been working properly, probably we have that bandwidth or we have that flexibility that we can decrease its priority. That okay, let's give priority to those things which have been related or which has been breaking up in iPhone 14, 11, or 12 first, as compared to iPhone 6, because iPhone 6 is not being signed in NFR documentation, and you can always go back to those NFR documentation just to double check and just to make sure that you're not increasing your own scope. Okay, so that's why as a BA, as a QA, basically it has always been asked from a customer ki what are their common devices, versions they prefer the most. And these matrices are being more thoroughly being shared by the customers who are been coming to you for revamping their application or who have their own existing applications been running around. Because if they have their existing applications running around, then they can anytime go back to the Google Analytics and can track and can capture, have those real data to talk about those matrices. Now they are not just vaguely talking about that. No, we really wanted to have in OnePlus devices. No, why they are saying that? Because they have captured, they have tracked that in which devices their maximum users are being using, and that's the devices they are sharing with you. Okay, so this is the compatibility metrics you will be talking about. Code quality. A lot of times, if you have, there are a lot of tools which have been available in the market which helps you in identifying your code quality, how good your team has done the coding. Okay, basically, if your coding standards have been passed, if all the things which needs to be commented has been done, or is been code or function has been reused at multiple places or not, or every time whenever that function is being called, it has been written again. So basically, SonarQube is one of the common cube and the most popular tool which will help you in identifying the code quality. So basically, if your team if you have been working with some existing customers and they have their technical team, then they will always be defining a code quality for you, that this is the code quality they wanted to have in the applications. Okay, unit testing, continuous integration and delivery testing, documentation, that which are the tools that you will be using for documentation, any SEO matrices you will be capturing for SEO. Okay, and for SEO, which all tools are you will be using. Okay, compliance, GDPR, PCI. These are the common compliance technique which you will be using up in your product. So you will be checking if your customer wanted to have these application being compliant to GDPR, PCI, then any action on vulnerability and threats. So basically you cover all of those areas, all of those points. You ask the customer if he has any requirement, if he has any say, or if he wanted to track to us based on any matrices. Okay, if there is something which he really don't want us to track ahead or chase ahead, then you probably keep it as out of scope. Okay, example, localization, multilingual, no plans, nothing to be considered. Automation testing, nothing. So basically, the client wants everything to be manually tested. There is no automation testing in the scope. So probably we mentioned this automation testing. Okay, so that's how you create a non-functional requirement documentation.